Hey everyone, welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Popple, along with my co-host, William McClellan. How you doing today, Will?
Always good, always good. Favorite day of the week, man. Really excited for our guests today.
Yeah, and I'm excited to be back. So tell us who we have coming on today.
Yeah, no, super exciting. We've got Sophie and Tell coming in from She Builds Wealth. They're two great local entrepreneurs. They're doing amazing things in the community. Sophie is a dynamic entrepreneur and investor focusing on creative strategies and dedicated to building wealth through smart business decisions, property investments, and innovative designs. She's the co-founder of She Builds Wealth and Sunscape Property Services, and she thrives on turning ideas into reality. Tell is a visionary real estate professional. She's an investor and a mentor who thrives on helping others turn their dreams into reality, and is the other co-founder of She Builds Wealth. Really excited to have them on. She's passionate about guiding women through the journey of entrepreneurship, financial independence, and property investing. So without further ado, let's bring Sophie and Tell on.
Hi.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Doing great. Happy to be here.
Yes, doing well and so excited to be hanging out with you all today.
Yeah, no doubt. We're super stoked. So let's go ahead and get everything kicked off. We kind of gave you guys a little intro about what you guys are building and co-founders of She Builds Wealth. So before we jump right into real estate, let's talk about life before real estate, where you guys are from. Let the audience know a little bit about Sophie and a little bit about Tell. And you can go through like childhood, college, like kind of how you kind of gravitated into the entrepreneurial mindset and spirit.
Yeah, so I'll go first.
Sure.
My childhood, I would say, was chaotic, but character building. I grew up in a military family. We moved around a lot. Decided to settle in Orlando, Florida after my mom was a little tired of traveling around, and finished elementary there, middle school and high school. High school, I graduated during an interesting time, the 2008 recession periods when I graduated. So I went into college with little support and just really having some traction there, I'd say. So about 2 years into college, due to the stresses of the recession on my family, I actually had to take a break from school and start supporting myself. So that's really where my hustle spirit started, really having to figure it out on my own until I could qualify for financial aid, which is around when I was 23 years old. And then kind of feeling behind and wanting to catch up, I powered through and graduated in 3 years from the University of Florida with a degree in microbiology. Being a recession kid was like, man, I need a recession-proof job. And so I was trying to go into the medical field, but having to take that break really didn't do well for my GPA. So at that point, after working a lot of jobs that I didn't have good managers and it was just friction all the time, I was feeling this pull towards entrepreneurship where I had more control over my environment and how I spent my days. So I made the pivot into entrepreneurship as a wellness coach using my microbiology degree and really loved the field. But that was also during a transition period of COVID and also being pregnant with my first son. I actually took a step back from working, stayed home with him because it seemed like the safe thing to do, but knew that I was meant to be in entrepreneurship. And so I can tell a little bit more how I got into real estate, but I'll let Sophie share her story.
Yeah, no, before you hop in, Sophie, I just want to kind of highlight to some of the listeners, being able to be, adaptive to your surroundings, and definitely want to kind of tee back up where you were leading into there and how that kind of ties back into the entrepreneurial mindset. But before we kind of dive in too deep there, Sophie, tell us a little bit about Sophie's life.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in San Diego, California. All my family's still on the West Coast. So I'm the odd duck. I left and I'm in Florida, made the leap, but love San Diego and it'll always be home. But I grew up in an entrepreneurial household. My dad was an entrepreneur my entire life. And I started my first business at 10 years old, Sophie's Excellent Eggs. I was selling my chickens' eggs to the moms in the carpool line at school and had business cards, the whole 9 yards. So I always knew I wanted to have a business and had that creative spirit in me. And that was really the start of it all. Went to high school in San Diego, and then I didn't go too far for college. I hopped up to Orange County and went to Chapman University. I studied business and I got a minor in Spanish. And then I graduated in 3 years also, mostly because I was just over it and ready to start working and get business going. But it was right in the peak of COVID. So I graduated in spring of 2020 and I jumped into a corporate marketing job, which lasted maybe 2-3 months. And I knew it wasn't for me and it wasn't going to last much longer than that. So that's kind of when I started to make that transition over to real estate. My dad was kind of teaching me the ropes at that point. And ultimately ended up making the move out to Nashville in December of 2020.
To Nashville. Okay, cool. Are you still in the egg selling business? Because that is a hot business right now.
I know. I mean, really, I should have kept it going because I'm ready to have chickens again.
Yeah, exactly.
I have backyard chickens now. I gave Will a dozen a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I need more, man. Those have been gone. They're the best.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
Man, so who was the person that first inspired you guys to look into real estate?
I'll let you take it.
So I really didn't have early role models. As I had mentioned, my family actually lost their home during the recession. So they kind of had the opposite or a more kind of tainted view of the industry.
True.
Really, my first introduction was TV. I was watching a lot of HGTV, seeing flipping houses, and that kind of sparked my interest and started getting me thinking like, hey, I want to get into real estate. During the same time, my then boyfriend, now husband, had proposed, and I probably should have knew this then that I was going to be in real estate, but I said, instead of having a wedding, I want to buy a fixer-upper. And let's work on that and try and flip that and make some capital to do some things for our family or our future family. And just at that same time that we wanted to sell, which happened to be during COVID, like we said, we had our son and it just seemed like a good move to be able to sell at the top of the market. Our realtor at the time was one of my best friends who had her license to help her clients in wealth management and knew I wanted to be in entrepreneurship. So she actually gave me the push, like, girl, I think you need to take the test. I feel like you'd be great at it. And that was the start. We sold our house. We made way more money than I had ever thought we could. And so I went down a deep dive of bigger pockets and all this real estate investing. And I've been locked in since. So I really didn't have role models, but it was just, I saw the power of real estate and I've been all in since.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Now, can you talk a little bit? I have a couple notes written down. So microbiologist and then transition to health and wellness coach, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And then, and now full-time real estate. There's probably some listeners that are kind of in that same, maybe not identical footpath that you kind of went through, but like they're working something that they either went to school for or you know, on the job training for, and they just haven't made that jump and that commitment. Can you kind of walk us through maybe what that was like? I know because you kind of danced over like, hey, we sold our house for a whole bunch of money. I'm bought in, I'm there. But yeah, I know that there's probably definitely some sort of transitionary period. And if not, there's, you know, just to inspire everyone that they need to sell their house now and use you as the realtor.
Yeah, no, it definitely was a lot of transition. This was not an overnight thing. It was after working a couple of jobs in corporate that I knew I wanted freedom and control of my time. So that was really the foundation. That was like my big why. I needed to be more in control. Not the best why, but that is really what I leaned into. And so I saw that real estate could be a road to freedom and being able to make the wealth to be able to dictate how I spend my time. And so I moved to a new city. We ended up moving to Pensacola about 4 years ago now. And as I mentioned, going into Bigger Pockets, I was fully committed, right? And so I said, this is where I'm going to spend my time. I'm going to be immersed in everything real estate investing. I joined an investment group here. I met my mentor, Mike Hamby, who's actually been on your show before, who was an amazing mentor to me. And so he was doing what I wanted to do. He was flipping houses. He used to be an agent and was at that time transitioning into full-time investing. And so getting into spaces, telling people what I wanted to do and what my goals were really helped me meet the right people, and they have helped me get on this trajectory.
I love it. I love
That's
it.
awesome.
And Sophie, what about you? So you come from an entrepreneurial household, so that's obviously really exciting. But you went into the corporate world. So tell us kind of that like ebb and flow, and what and who, kind of like what Sam asked, was the person that inspired you, like real estate. There it is. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely grew up in an entrepreneurial household. My dad had been involved in real estate my whole life, mainly like land entitlement, creative land deals out in California.
Perfect.
So he for sure had the bug for it. And I grew up in live-in flips, multiple of them. We were in the camper one summer because the house wasn't ready to live in. So we were always moving around, bounced around San Diego all the time. So I was definitely exposed to it from a young age, but coming out of college, I feel like there's a lot of pressure to just jump into corporate world. I'm like, I have the degree. Now I have to get this solid job where I'm going to have a consistent pay and have that safety net. Thankfully, it happened at a time where things were really weird in transition with COVID. So like I said, it only lasted 2 to 3 months. And I already knew at that point in time that that specific job wasn't for me. And my dad saw that in me too, and really wanted to kind of start teaching me even more about real estate and the power that it has to build wealth over the long term. So we started exploring different markets together. We took a couple different trips to Arizona, Idaho, and then Tennessee. And we both ultimately decided that Nashville was kind of our favorite market that we found, just because we saw the growth, the opportunity, and so many people moving there. So we took about 5 trips out there, 2019, 2020, and I liked it so much I ended up moving out there in December 2020.
Awesome.
I still kind of had a corporate-ish job. I transitioned to an online role with a nonprofit where I was doing marketing work. And I continued to do that through the spring of 2021, but it was at that time where I also got involved in the Bigger Pockets community, started networking with people, and I met a local wholesaler in Nashville. And I ended up leaving that marketing role and jumping straight into acquisitions, working for this wholesaler. And that was really kind of what kicked everything off for me.
That's
Sweet.
awesome. So what brought you two together? Tell us about when that connection was made.
Yeah,
So we actually met at a networking event.
I love that. Same with Sam.
Perfect. So
What was the event, if you don't mind me asking?
What was it?
It might have been what's it called? Pines and Properties. I was like, they just changed the name. So
Right on.
I was, if you guys didn't remember, I was just gonna assume it was an AA meeting, but all right.
oh no. Not that kind of networking.
You can't remember.
Yeah.
That's
But yeah, it was at Pines and Properties. We knew that we were into the same thing. I, at the time, was more so doing real estate stuff and still learning from my mentor. And I knew Sophie had more of the wholesaling experience that I wanted to learn more about. Like I said, I'm not afraid to just, hey, this is what I want to do. If you're doing it, I'll ask and see what we can do. And so
control, right? Why?
I'm controlling.
No, I wrote down that your why was more control over
Yes.
Yeah, so that like tees up. Sorry, I take little notes whenever we're having things in, kind of tie things back and forth. So yeah.
And so we went to lunch and saw that we were really on the same vibe and just meshed really well. And so kind of hung out and got to know each other and collabed on things, and decided to start working on She Builds Wealth. And we understand how important it is to have a community that you can lean on for questions, or, just have the spirit of entrepreneurship, because it is a challenge. And so we wanted to create a space that allowed women to get together and feel empowered and want to, take over business.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell us, what is She Builds Wealth?
Yeah, that's like the perfect transition right
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
Highlight, how can we help? How can we inform more people? Like, She Builds Wealth is. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So moving here about 3 years ago, I noticed that there really wasn't a community for women in Pensacola, especially women in business, women in real estate. That's something that I saw in Tennessee that we had in the investment group. So really wanted to bring that down here. And like Tell said, when we connected, we just knew that together we could take it further. So we brought together this community of like-minded women that meet on a monthly basis here in Pensacola. We've also expanded to start doing some virtual events this year so we can have a broader reach. We have some really exciting things coming later this year, but it's been a really awesome experience to just watch this community grow, because entrepreneurship can definitely be lonely. And to have that community that you can lean on, that understands what you're going through, and people that you can rely on, lean on, and build that community with is so key.
No, I completely agree. So you guys are just kind of changing the game, allowing, your experiences and things that you guys have seen and what works well in other, larger metros, and bringing it to Pensacola. I love that. So you mentioned monthly meetings. When and where do you guys meet, and how can someone join?
So our monthly meetups, we like to support local small businesses if we're going to do it in person.
Cool.
If it's online, it's Zoom and anyone can come. We typically try and do a weeknight, mostly Wednesdays around like 6:30 Central Time to 8:30. Sometimes we do brunch because we like to switch it up.
Sure.
And we do like to incorporate wellness as well. So if we can do something with partnering with local yoga studios or fitness studios, that is another aspect that we like to incorporate, because we do know that wellness, you can't really build wealth without wellness. So
I know a guy who runs like a wellness franchise. He actually supports the podcast, which is like a great plug right now. So again, we want to thank Clean Eats for always allowing us to have guests on the podcast. But
we love Clean Eats.
Yeah,
That's the guy. If you guys ever want to host one of your meetings at Clean Eats, just let me know. So.
Sam owns Clean Eats. Yeah. You guys
We love
it.
Eats. Yes.
Yeah. So if you guys ever want to host something there, just let me know. So Wednesday nights are usually a little bit of a slower night. So we'd love to have you guys.
Yes,
awesome.
Let's definitely connect. We would love to do that.
Absolutely.
But to keep up with us, you can follow us on social media at she_builds wealth.
Okay.
You can go to our link tree, and it has all of our websites and all the information for when we're having meetups, and just following our page for encouragement, resources, and women that want to see you.
Who's your the target person for this group? Like where are they at in the journey? Who do you guys want showing up to your meetings?
We want all women in business. So whether you're in a 9-to-5 trying to transition and need some support, whether you're just starting your business and need that support, or you're further along in your business and want to mentor someone that is in their early stages. And so honestly, any woman that's interested in business, wanting to build wealth through real estate, or starting their own, how to scale online as well. So
that's awesome.
I love it. So we're going to definitely get that link tree. And this is a great time right now for us to kind of wrap this up, really building into episode 2. So with that, she_builds wealth. We're going to get the link tree. We'll add it to the show notes. But what is life today for career investments, and for people that want to join you, like outside of just joining the community, like what are you guys doing to link in new properties, new investors, or partner on deals?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned, I'm a licensed agent in Florida. I'm also licensed in Tennessee. I got that while I was there.
Cool.
And Tell and I connected on that when I moved, because learning new rules in a new state can be challenging. So
Mhm.
getting around people that are doing what you want to be doing and can kind of show you the ropes, thanks to Tell. She kind of showed me the ropes of Florida, and we made a nice team on that. And I also do design and management with Sunscape Property Services. I started that a little over a year ago with a partner that lives in Tennessee. And we've just seen a lot of amazing organic growth with that over the last year. We haven't really been doing any marketing for clients, but managing quite a few properties, and we're working on some really exciting design projects right now. We have some new construction homes that are going up in East Nashville right now. So it's been really fun to kind of learn by doing and get our hands dirty and jump in and do those projects. But I definitely work with a lot of investors here in Florida, some in Tennessee as well. And I love just getting in on the creative side of the deal, problem solving, and really, working with investors mainly, I would say. I have done some retail deals over the last couple of years as well, but I just have found that my niche really lies with investors and looking at those deals a little bit differently than your average buyer.
No, I love that. Tell us a little bit about what the scope of work looks like. What is 7 hours away and 2 states away. Got to go through Alabama, go up, get into Tennessee from being in Florida. I'm sure that's kind of daunting.
It is, for sure. And I think that that's kind of a big reason, at least on the real estate side of things, that I'm mainly focused in Florida right now, because it's a lot easier to be where you are. Not to say I won't do a deal here and there with investors that I already know, and a deal that comes my way that I know is going to be a good fit for them. But as far as real estate transactions, deals, working with investors, I'm definitely more focused here in Florida right now. But as far as the projects, it definitely helps to have a partner who has boots on the ground over there. So my business partner lives there. Thankfully, she can help out and go walk projects, walk properties. But every once in a while, I got to take a flight or do a road trip up to Nashville so I can go spend a week or so. But it's always a fun time.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then Tell, what about you? What's happening? Career, investments, time in real estate right now for you?
Yes, so right now I'm in a bit of a transition period. I passed my broker's license this month.
Congrats.
Awesome.
Thank you. So I'm really just working. I'm in the early stages of planning how I want the brokerage to run. I know I want it to be, intentional and scalable. As far as real estate, I am really focusing on quality over quantity right now. When I first got into real estate, I was wanting to learn as much as I could. So I was taking every deal that was coming my way. And, with investments, obviously the price points can be a little different. So it really is about volume.
Sure.
But I am grateful that I have started to get later into my business where I can focus more on quality versus quantity. I do still work with investors, but I like to really work with the ones that I trust and know. I help them with running the numbers for their properties. They'll typically bring me something that they've inherited, or maybe they come across and they don't know a lot about the market. A lot of my clients are from out of state. They're out of state investors. I do a lot of online marketing. So if you follow Sell with Tell, you will see that. So that's kind of really my strategy for real estate right now. As far as investing, I do a modified house hacking. My husband and I buy residential properties. We live in them for a couple years and then we turn them into long-term rentals. We've done that a couple of times now and have built a portfolio of 3 long-term rentals. We've also dabbled in a couple flips ourselves too. And so we'd like to do more flips coming up here and adding more long-term rentals to our portfolio.
Man, you guys are in everything. You're in real estate, retail, new construction, building communities. This is amazing. So outside of just your She Builds Wealth, we're definitely going to have to get all of your brokerage information. And then both of you guys, we're going to highlight in the description, you guys can reach out to both Tell and Sophie directly and let them represent you guys on any of your future deals. But Sam, you got anything? I think I'm really excited to kind of break Sophie and Tell's like daily life down, see how the business, all are cohesive together, but they are also independently operating. And I know the listeners are going to be excited to hear that too.
Yeah, no, definitely. So excited to see everyone on part 2. But man, Will, if I know we were talking in our own business about just being busy on time and trying to delegate some of those duties, and I think we discovered a virtual assistant solution. And I know my assistant's been helping me out a whole lot this past month. But what's that assistant solution that we've been doing?
Yeah, we're going to put that again when we drop this episode live. You'll be able to check that out. So we'll have it in every single one of our descriptions, as well as if you go to the eliterealestatepodcast.com. But the important thing to know is our code is Elite Real Estate. That's it. So you're just going to type that in. You're going to get a significant discount for hourly wages for virtual assistants that are really crisp, minimal accent, and already educated with a background in real estate. So really excited on that. And once we start brokering that out within the next 2 months, we should also have access to creative mortgage deals as well. So really excited to kind of tee those up. So not as integrated yet as Tell and Sophie, but we're definitely getting there. So we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
See y'all there.
See you there.